The space station hung in the darkness like a metal flower. Harmony Point was its name, and it floated near a dead star that gave no light. Ships from across the galaxy had come here for one reason. Today, for the first time ever, humans would sit at the peace table with the three great powers of the galaxy. Ambassador Tae-ho Kim looked out the window of his small ship. Behind him stood Captain Sojin Park, who commanded the 12 human ships that had escorted them here. The ships looked old and simple compared to the massive alien fleets surrounding the station. Kim could see hundreds of alien warships in the distance, their hulls gleaming with advanced technology. "Sir, we're getting scanning beams from every direction," Park said quietly. "They're studying our ships very carefully." Kim nodded. "Let them look. Are Dr. Lee and Admiral Choi ready?" Dr. Woojin Lee is in the science bay, checking his equipment one last time. Admiral Hyunwoo Choi is in his quarters reviewing the files. Park paused. "Sir, are you sure about this plan?" Kim smiled and patted the simple paper notebook in his jacket pocket. "Captain, humans have been preparing for this day for 50 years. Trust the plan." The docking bay of Harmony Point was enormous. 3 different alien species waited for the humans to arrive. Kim walked slowly down the ramp, followed by his small team. He moved like an old man, even though he was only 45. His clothes were simple, and his notebook was made of real paper. To the aliens watching, he looked like a farmer trying to play diplomat. The Vorthak delegation stood at attention like soldiers. They were tall, with gray skin and sharp teeth. Their leader was War Prime Thektar, a giant of a creature who had conquered dozens of worlds. His armor was black and covered in medals from his victories. When he saw Kim, he laughed. "So this is the great human leader," Thektar said in a voice like grinding metal. "You look weak, little human. Do you even know how to fight?" The Tessian group wore expensive robes that changed colors as they moved. They looked like humans, but with pale blue skin and large black eyes. Their leader, Trademaster Velnoth, studied Kim like he was examining goods for sale. His fingers moved constantly, calculating numbers that only he could see. "Interesting," Velnoth said in a smooth voice. "The human wears clothes worth maybe 50 credits. His technology is centuries behind ours, yet they claim to represent an entire species." He smiled, showing teeth like pearls. "I wonder what price they will fetch in the slave markets." The third group stood perfectly still. The Kalari looked ancient, with wrinkled skin and eyes that seemed to glow with inner light. Their leader, Elder Zephyrim, did not speak out loud. Instead, his voice appeared directly in everyone's mind. Such simple thoughts, Zephyrim's mental voice whispered. "This creature's mind is like a child's picture book. No complexity, no depth. Perhaps humans are not truly intelligent after all." Kim listened to all of this with patience. He opened his paper notebook and began writing with an old-fashioned pen. The aliens watched with amusement as he carefully formed each letter by hand. "Fascinating," Dr. Lee whispered to Captain Park. "They think writing by hand is primitive. They have no idea what we're really doing here." The meeting room was a circle with a large table in the center. The aliens had arranged themselves so that they faced the small human delegation from 3 sides. It was meant to make the humans feel surrounded and outnumbered. Kim took his seat and placed his notebook on the table. Admiral Choi sat beside him but said nothing. War Prime Thektar stood up and slammed his fist on the table. "Let us not waste time with pretty words. Humans, you have 12 star systems. We have thousands. You have weak ships and old weapons. We have fleets that can burn worlds. This is not a negotiation. This is your surrender." Trademaster Velnoth activated a hologram showing star charts. Red marks covered most of the galaxy, showing Tessian trade routes and corporate holdings. Only a tiny green cluster showed human space. "The numbers are quite clear," Velnoth said. "Your species produces barely enough resources to feed itself. Your technology is primitive. Your ships are slow and weak. We are offering you a generous deal. Become our workers and we will let you live." Elder Zephrim's mental voice grew stronger. "We have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We have seen countless species rise and fall. You humans are nothing special. You are young, foolish, and weak. Accept your place in the natural order." Kim continued writing in his notebook. The pen scratched across the paper in the quiet room. Finally, he looked up. "Thank you for explaining your position so clearly," Kim said in a calm voice. "I want to make sure I understand. You want humanity to surrender all of our worlds, become your workers or slaves, and give up our independence. Is that correct?" "Exactly," Thektar growled. "You learn quickly for a primitive. And if we refuse?" Kim asked. The three alien leaders looked at each other and smiled. Velnoth activated another hologram. It showed human worlds with red targeting markers over every major city. Our fleets are already in position, Velnoth said. 300 Vorthak warships, 200 Tessian battlecruisers, 100 Kalari mine ships. They surround every human world. One word from us and your cities burn. Your people will die in agony, Zephyrim added. Those who survive will wish they had not. We will break their minds and turn them into empty shells. Kim nodded and made more notes. I see, and this station? What happens here if I say no? Tektar's laugh was like thunder. This station has hidden weapons. Tessian technology, very advanced. One button and this room fills with poison gas. Your little escort fleet? We have them surrounded too. Your ships are so slow they could not escape if they tried. Hidden weapons in the station itself, Kim repeated, writing carefully. Poison gas. Escape impossible, he looked up. Anything else I should know? The aliens were enjoying themselves now. They thought they were watching a simple human finally understand how hopeless his situation was. Your species fights like children, Tektar said. We studied your wars. Crude weapons, simple tactics. You could not defeat a single Vorthak battle group, much less our entire empire. Your minds are open books, Zephyrim added. We can read your thoughts, control your actions. You have no defenses against our mental powers. We know everything about your pathetic little worlds, Velnoth said. Every ship, every weapon, every plan. Our spies have been watching you for years. You have no secrets from us. Kim finished writing and closed his notebook. He looked at each alien leader in turn. So, to summarize, Kim said slowly, you have us completely surrounded. You know all our secrets. You can destroy our worlds whenever you want. You have weapons we cannot fight. You can control our minds. And you believe we are weak, primitive, and helpless. He paused. Is that everything? Yes, all three aliens said together. Kim smiled. It was not a nice smile. Good. I just wanted to make sure we were all clear on your positions. He reached into his jacket and pulled out what looked like an old radio. Before we continue, I need to make a quick call. The aliens laughed. A radio? How primitive could these humans be? Kim pressed a button and spoke 2 words into the device. Execute checkmate. The aliens stopped laughing when Kim spoke those 2 words. Something in his voice had changed. The simple farmer diplomat was gone. In his place sat a man who looked like he had been waiting for this moment his entire life. What did you just say? War Prime Tektar demanded. I said execute checkmate, Kim replied calmly. It's a chess term. Do you know chess? It's a human game about planning ahead. Elder Zephyrim tried to read Kim's mind but found something strange. The human's thoughts were calm and clear, but they were protected by something. Impossible, Zephyrim's mental voice whispered. No species has ever blocked our mind reading. Trademaster Velnoth was looking at his communication devices. Numbers and reports were flowing across the screens, but they were all wrong. There must be some mistake, he said. My fleet commanders are not responding correctly. Kim opened his notebook again and showed them a page. Instead of simple words, it was covered with detailed technical drawings and mathematical equations. While you were talking, I was making notes about your weaknesses. Did you really think I was just writing down your threats? Captain Sojin Park stepped forward from where she had been standing quietly behind Kim. Her movements were different now. Before she had looked like a simple ship captain. Now she moved like a predator. Commander Jinsu Han, report, Park said into her communication device. All teams in position, Captain, came the reply. The station's hidden weapons are now under our control. Tessian poison gas systems have been replaced with sleeping gas. Kalari mind control devices have been shut down. Tektar roared and reached for his weapon, but his hand stopped halfway. He could not move his arm. What is happening to me? Dr. Wu Jin Li walked out from behind a pillar where he had been hidden. In his hands was a device that looked like a simple medical scanner. Neural dampening field, he explained. Your nervous system is being disrupted by specific electromagnetic frequencies. You cannot move faster than we allow. Impossible, Velnoth said. Our technology is centuries ahead of yours. How could you possibly, ahead of what? Engineer Bo Ram Kang stepped out from another hiding spot. She had been disguised as a station maintenance worker. You mean ahead of the fake technology we let you steal? The old ships we let you scan? The primitive weapons we left where your spies could find them? Intelligence Officer Ye Jin Yoon appeared from yet another hiding place. She had been invisible until now, wearing some kind of advanced camouflage suit. Every spy you sent to human space we knew about. Every piece of information you gathered we fed to you. Every plan you made we helped you make. The alien leaders were starting to panic. This was not going according to their careful plans. The fleets, Tektar gasped, still struggling against the neural dampener. Our fleets are surrounding your worlds. You cannot stop all of them, Kim smiled again. Which fleets? The ones that are currently trapped in gravity wells? The ones whose computers are crashing? Or the ones that just discovered they've been flying in circles for the past 6 hours? Park activated a hologram projector. Instead of showing alien fleet positions, it showed human ships. Lots of human ships. More ships than should have been possible. You see, we've been busy for the past 50 years, Park explained. While you thought you were watching us, we were actually watching you. Every time you sent a spy ship to human space, we sent 10 spy ships to yours. The hologram showed Vorthak space. Their mighty war fleets were surrounded by small objects they had thought were asteroids. As they watched, the asteroids unfolded into human ships. Gravity well generators, Engineer Kang said cheerfully. We've been placing them around your fleets for years. Your navigation computers think they're just space rocks, but they're actually miniature black hole creators. Your ships can't move faster than light when they're caught in artificial gravity fields. The display switched to Tessian space. Their corporate fleets were also surrounded, but by different devices. Computer viruses, Officer Yoon explained. We've been uploading them through your own communication networks for decades. Every time you bought data from our fake trading companies, you got a little present with it. Today, all those presents activated at once. Elder Zephyrin was trying to use his mental powers to call for help, but nothing was working. Our mine ships? They are not responding. That's because your crews are wearing these, Dr. Lee said, holding up what looked like a simple metal headband. Neural dampening crowns. Your own people have been wearing them for months, thinking they were new communication devices. They block telepathic signals completely. Admiral Hyunwoo Choi finally stood up. Until now, he had been silent, but when he spoke, his voice filled the room with authority. Gentlemen, you have been outplayed, Choi said simply. For 50 years, humanity has been preparing for this moment. Every weakness you thought you saw was deliberate. Every advantage you thought you had was an illusion. Velnuth was frantically working on his communication devices, but they kept showing impossible results. This cannot be real. We control the galaxy's economy. We have trade agreements with every species. You have trade agreements with fake companies, Officer Yoon said. Companies that were actually run by human intelligence services. You've been selling weapons to us, buying resources from us and sharing technology with us, all while thinking you were dealing with other species. The Kalari have ruled for 10,000 years, Zephyrin managed to say out loud, his mental powers useless. We have wisdom beyond your understanding. You have arrogance beyond our patience, Dr. Lee replied. Did you really think a species that survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and nuclear weapons would be defeated by mind tricks and old technology? Tektar was the most confused of all. But we are warriors. We have conquered hundreds of worlds. Our military might is unmatched. Your military might is impressive, Admiral Choi agreed, against species that fight like you do. But humans don't fight fair. We fight smart. We've been studying your tactics for decades. Every battle you've ever fought, every strategy you've ever used, every weakness you've ever shown. We know it all. Kim stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the space around Harmony Point was changing. What had looked like empty space was now filled with human ships. They seemed to appear from nowhere, dropping stealth fields and holographic disguises. You wanted to know about human military capabilities, Kim said without turning around. There are over 2,000 human ships within 1 light year of this station. They've been here for 3 weeks waiting. 2,000. Tektar choked. Impossible. We counted your entire fleet. You have less than 100 ships total. You counted the ships we wanted you to count, Captain Park said. The old ones. The obvious ones. The ones we painted with special coatings that show up clearly on your sensors. Engineer Kang laughed. Did you really think the species that invented stealth technology would forget to use it on their own ships? The aliens were beginning to understand that they had walked into a trap. But it was worse than a trap. It was a complete reversal of everything they thought they knew. Why? Velnuth asked weakly. Why did you let us think we were in control? Kim turned back to face them. Because the best way to defeat an enemy is to let them defeat themselves. You came here today expecting to dictate terms to a weak, primitive species. Instead, you just confessed to planning genocide, slavery, and mental domination in front of witnesses. This entire conversation has been recorded, Officer Yoon added, and broadcast live to every major government in the galaxy. Everyone now knows exactly what kind of peace you were offering. Admiral Choi walked to the center of the room. The galaxy is about to change whether you like it or not. The question is, do you want to be part of the new order? Or do you want to be examples of what happens to those who threaten innocent species? The three alien leaders looked at each other. Their fleets were trapped. Their technology was compromised. Their plans were ruined. And somehow the primitive humans had done it all while making them think they were winning. What do you want? Elder Zephyrim asked in defeat. Kim sat back down and opened his notebook to a fresh page. Now that's a much better question. Let's start over, shall we? But this time we'll be discussing your surrender, not ours. 3 hours later, the meeting room had changed completely. The aliens no longer sat like judges ready to pass sentence. Instead, they sat like students trying to understand a lesson that was much harder than they had expected. Kim had filled 20 pages of his notebook with details of the new galactic order. Every few minutes, he would ask the aliens if they understood a particular point. Most of the time, they just nodded silently. Article 15, Kim read from his notes. All military fleets must be registered with the new Galactic Defense Council. Fleet movements between star systems require advance notice and approval. This is madness, Thektar muttered. Warriors should not need permission to move their ships. Warriors who plan genocide should definitely need permission, Captain Park replied. Besides, this only applies to military vessels. Civilian ships can travel freely. Admiral Choi activated a display showing the new galactic map. Instead of 3 large empires controlling everything, it showed hundreds of independent systems connected by trade routes and mutual defense agreements. The old system was simple, Choi explained. 3 powers controlled everything and everyone else obeyed. The new system is more complex but also more fair. Everyone has a voice. General Kyungmin Bae entered the room. He had been coordinating the galactic operation from a command ship hidden nearby. His uniform was covered with ribbons and medals from campaigns the aliens had never heard of. Status report, General, Admiral Choi requested. All objectives achieved, Bae said calmly. Vorthak Military Command has agreed to the temporary ceasefire. Tessian corporate leadership is negotiating new trade agreements. Kalari Elder Council is requesting medical assistance for their telepathy addiction withdrawal. Telepathy addiction? Dr. Lee asked with interest. Withdrawal? Elder Zephyrim looked confused. Dr. Haewon Ryu stepped into the room. She was the head of human psychological operations, and she carried a medical scanner. Elder Zephyrim, may I examine you for a moment? Why? Because your species has been using artificial telepathic enhancement for so long that your natural brain chemistry has changed, Dr. Ryu explained. When we blocked your telepathic abilities, we accidentally triggered withdrawal symptoms in your entire population. She ran the scanner over Zephyrim's head. The results appeared on a holographic display. As I thought. Your brain is producing excess cortisol and adrenaline. You're experiencing anxiety, confusion, and mild paranoia. These are classic symptoms of telepathic enhancement withdrawal. You mean we're addicted to our own powers? Zephyrim asked weakly. Your species has been artificially enhancing telepathic abilities for thousands of years, Dr. Ryu said gently. Your brains have forgotten how to function normally without the enhancement. Don't worry, it's treatable. Admiral Mi Young-song joined the meeting. She commanded one of the hidden human fleet divisions that had just revealed themselves. Her ships specialized in rescue and medical operations. We have medical teams standing by to help with the withdrawal process, Song said. It will take several months, but your people can learn to live without artificial telepathic enhancement. But without our mental powers, how will we rule? Zephyrim asked. You won't rule, Kim said simply. You'll participate. There's a difference. Trademaster Velnoth was studying economic reports on his personal device. The numbers made no sense to him. According to these calculations, our economic system was losing money for decades. How is that possible? Because your system was designed to make the rich richer, not to create actual wealth, Officer Yoon explained. You were essentially printing money and calling it profit. But the numbers always showed growth, Velnoth protested. Fake growth, Engineer Kang said. You were counting the same resources multiple times, charging interest on loans that would never be repaid, and selling goods that didn't actually exist. It's called a bubble economy, Kim added. It looks impressive until someone pops the bubble. Today we popped it. Admiral Song activated a new display showing economic projections. The good news is that we can rebuild your economy on a sustainable foundation. The bad news is that it will take about 20 years and everyone will have to live more simply. 20 years? Felnoth was horrified. Would you prefer 20 years of honest work or 20 years of slave rebellion? Captain Park asked. Because those were your only two options. The species you were exploiting were about to revolt anyway. War Prime Thektar had been quiet for several minutes, studying reports from his military commanders. Finally, he looked up. My generals are requesting permission to surrender formally. They say your tactics are too advanced for them to understand. What do you mean? Admiral Choi asked. You defeated our fleets without firing a single shot, Thektar explained. You captured our weapons without fighting a battle. You destroyed our invasion plans without bloodshed. This is not warfare as we understand it. General Bay smiled. It's called strategy, War Prime. The goal is to win without fighting, not to fight without winning. But where is the honor in victory without battle? Thektar demanded. Where is the honor in genocide? Kim replied. War Prime, your culture values strength and courage. Those are good values, but you've been using them for evil purposes. We would like to offer your warriors a chance to use their strength for good, Admiral Song said. The galaxy has many dangerous creatures and natural disasters. We need brave people to help with rescue operations and defense against real threats. You would trust Vorthek warriors with such responsibility? Thektar asked suspiciously. We would trust reformed Vorthek warriors, General Bay corrected. After proper training and psychological evaluation, Dr. Ryu activated her medical scanner again. War Prime, your species also shows signs of artificial enhancement. Combat stimulants, aggression boosters, pain suppressors. You've been chemically modified for warfare. Of course, Thektar said proudly. We are the perfect warriors. You're addicted to violence, Dr. Ryu corrected gently. Your brain chemistry has been altered to crave conflict and aggression. That's not natural and it's not healthy. Like the Kalari, your people can be treated, Admiral Song added, but it will require admitting that your perfect warrior culture was actually a form of mass drug addiction. The three alien leaders sat in stunned silence. Everything they thought they knew about themselves was being challenged by human medical science. Are you saying that our entire civilizations are based on addiction? Elder Zephram asked. Not entirely, Kim said. Your civilizations have many good qualities. Vorthak courage, Tessian innovation, Kalari wisdom. These are valuable traits. The problem is that you've been artificially enhancing them to dangerous levels. It's like taking medicine, Dr. Ryu explained. A little bit helps you get better. Too much makes you sick. Your species have been taking too much for too long. How do you know so much about our biology? Felnoth asked. Because we've been studying you for 50 years, Dr. Lee said. Every time you made contact with other species, we were watching. Every time you used your enhancements, we were recording. Every time your people showed signs of addiction, we were taking notes. We had to understand you completely before we could defeat you safely, Kim explained. We didn't want to hurt innocent people who were just following orders because of chemical addiction. Admiral Choi stood up and walked to the center of the room. The galaxy is about to change in ways you cannot imagine. Species that have been enemies for thousands of years will learn to work together. Resources that were hoarded by the powerful will be shared with everyone. Technologies that were kept secret will be freely available, Engineer Kang added. Planets that were stripped bare will be restored to health, Admiral Song said. And most importantly, Kim concluded, no species will ever again have to fear genocide, slavery, or domination. What about humans? Thektar asked. Who will watch the watchers? What prevents you from becoming the new oppressors? Kim smiled and opened his notebook to the last page he had written. Article 112. Human authority in galactic affairs will be automatically reviewed every 10 years. If a majority of galactic species vote to remove human leadership, it will be removed immediately. You're giving up power before you even use it? Felnoth asked in amazement. We're not giving up power, Admiral Choi corrected. We're sharing it. There's a difference. Power shared is power multiplied, General Bay added. Power hoarded is power wasted. The aliens were beginning to understand that humans thought about everything differently than they did. Where the aliens saw power as something to be taken and held, humans saw it as something to be used and shared. There's one more thing you need to understand, Kim said quietly. This revolution isn't just about military or political change. It's about evolution. The galaxy is growing up. For thousands of years, galactic civilization has been stuck in adolescence, Dr. Ryu explained. Competing, fighting, taking what you want without thinking about consequences. Today we're all moving into adulthood, Admiral Song added. Learning to cooperate, share, and build something bigger than ourselves. The question is, Kim said, closing his notebook, are you ready to grow up with us? 6 hours had passed since Kim had spoken those two simple words. The meeting room now looked like a medical clinic, crossed with a school. Dr. Ryu and her team were helping the alien leaders through their withdrawal symptoms while Kim continued to explain the new galactic constitution. President Inho Shin arrived on the station with a small escort of diplomatic ships. As the leader of the United Human Government, he would oversee the formal transition to the new galactic order. He was a calm man in his 60s who had been planning this day for most of his adult life. Status report, President Shin requested as he entered the room. All three empires have agreed to the basic principles, Admiral Choi reported. Military surrender, economic restructuring, and medical treatment for enhancement addiction. The Vorthak are struggling with the concept of non-violent conflict resolution, General Bay added. But they're making progress. The Tessians are panicking about short-term economic losses, Officer Yoon said. But they're starting to understand the long-term benefits. The Kalari are experiencing the most severe withdrawal symptoms, Dr. Ryu noted. But they're cooperating with treatment. President Shin sat down across from the three alien leaders. Unlike the humans they had been dealing with so far, he looked exactly like what he was, a politician who had spent decades preparing for this moment. Gentlemen, Shin said calmly, let me explain what happens next. In 1 hour I will broadcast a message to the entire galaxy announcing the new order. Every species will hear the truth about what you plan to do today and what humanity has done to stop you. You plan to humiliate us publicly? Thektar asked. I plan to tell the truth publicly, Shin corrected. Whether you feel humiliated depends on how you react to the truth. What will happen to our people? Felnoth asked nervously. Your people will be fine, President Shin assured him. They were never the problem. You were the problem. Admiral Young-Soo Moon entered the room. He commanded the new Galactic Peacekeeping Force, which was composed of ships and crews from dozens of different species. Most of them were species that had been oppressed by the three empires. Admiral Moon, how are our new allies adjusting to the situation? President Shin asked. Very well, sir, Moon replied. The Rishan mining fleets are already helping to disarm Vorthak weapons. The Elthari agricultural ships are delivering food to areas that were under economic blockade. The Nexari tech specialists are helping to debug Tessian computer systems. You mean the species we conquered are now helping us? Thektar asked in disbelief. The species you oppressed are now helping to build a better galaxy, Moon corrected. There's a difference between helping you and helping themselves. Diplomat Yoonji Seo joined the meeting. She was the architect of the new galactic constitution and had spent 20 years studying interspecies law. Her job was to make sure the transition was completely legal under existing galactic treaties. The legal framework is complete, SEO reported. Every aspect of the new government structure is based on laws that all three empires have already signed. We're not breaking any existing treaties, we're enforcing them. What do you mean? Elder Zephyrim asked through his telepathic withdrawal headache. The Galactic Peace Accords of 2387, CO explained. All three empires signed them. They prohibit genocide, slavery, and mental domination. Today, you confess to planning all three crimes. Under your own laws, your governments have forfeited their authority. But those accords were never enforced, Belnoth protested. Because no one had the power to enforce them, Kim said. Now someone does. So this entire revolution is legal? Thektar asked weakly. Completely legal, Diplomat CO confirmed. We've been very careful about that. Every action we've taken today is authorized under existing galactic law. President Shin activated a holographic display showing the new galactic government structure. It looked like a complex web connecting hundreds of worlds and species. The new Galactic Council will have representatives from every species, Shin explained. Decisions will be made by majority vote. with humans having veto power only over matters involving genocide, slavery, or unprovoked warfare. What about trade disputes? Velnoth asked. Handled by the Economic Justice Committee, Diplomat CO answered, composed of representatives from small trading species who understand fair commerce. Military conflicts? Thektar inquired. Resolved by the peacekeeping force, Admiral Moon said. Multi-species crews trained in non-violent conflict resolution. Cultural disagreements? Zephyrim wondered. Mediated by the Cultural Understanding Council, Dr. Ryu added. Anthropologists and psychologists from dozens of species working together. It sounds very complicated, Velnoth observed. Democracy is complicated, President Shin agreed. Dictatorship is simple, but complicated systems that work are better than simple systems that oppress. Kim had been writing throughout this exchange. He tore a page from his notebook and handed it to President Shin. The formal surrender document, sir. All three leaders have agreed to the terms. Excellent, Shin said, reading the document. War Prime Thektar, do you surrender command of all Vorthak military forces to the Galactic Peacekeeping Force? Thektar looked around the room at all the humans who had outsmarted his entire empire. I surrender. Trade Master Velnoth, do you surrender control of all Tessian economic networks to the Economic Justice Committee? Velnoth thought about the trillions of credits in frozen assets and the collapsed trade routes. I surrender. Elder Zephyrim, do you surrender authority over all Kalari mental enhancement technologies to the Medical Ethics Board? Zephyrim touched his head where the withdrawal headache was finally starting to fade. I surrender. President Shin signed the document and handed copies to each alien leader. Congratulations, gentlemen. You have just made the first intelligent decisions of your careers. What happens to us now? Thektar asked. That depends on you, President Shin replied. You can spend the rest of your lives in comfortable exile, writing memoirs about how you learned to be better people. Or you can help us build the new galaxy and maybe earn some forgiveness from the species you harmed. We would help? Velnoth asked uncertainly. Your skills are still valuable, Admiral Moon explained. Thektar understands military organization. Velnoth knows economic systems. Zephyrim has experience with large-scale administration. The galaxy needs those skills, just used for good instead of evil. Of course, you'll be closely supervised, Dr. Ryu added, and you'll need to complete addiction treatment. And you'll have to accept that you'll never have absolute power again. But you'll have something better, Kim said. You'll have the chance to be remembered as the leaders who helped create a golden age instead of the tyrants who tried to prevent it. President Shin stood up and walked to the window. Outside, ships from dozens of species were working together to secure the area and begin relief operations. Look at that, he said. Rishan miners working with Yelthari farmers. Taxari artists cooperating with human engineers. Kalari telepaths using their abilities to help with medical treatment instead of domination. This is what the galaxy looks like when everyone works together. Admiral Moon added. It's beautiful, Elder Zephyrim said quietly. Without the artificial telepathic enhancements, he was seeing clearly for the first time in decades. Yes, it is, President Shin agreed. And it's just the beginning. Kim closed his notebook and put it back in his jacket pocket. The peace talks didn't fail, he said with a smile. They just went differently than anyone expected. Except for us, Captain Park added. We expected exactly this. 50 years of planning? Admiral Choi said with satisfaction. 50 years of hoping, Dr. Lee corrected. 50 years of believing that the galaxy could be better, President Shin concluded. Outside the station, human ships were already beginning to leave. They had other places to be, other species to help, other problems to solve. The revolution was just the beginning of the work that needed to be done. One more thing, President Shin said to the three alien leaders. The galaxy is going to be watching you very carefully for the next few years. This is your chance to prove that redemption is possible. Don't waste it. We won't, Thektar said firmly. We'll try our best, Velnoth added. We'll learn, Zephyrim promised. Good, Kim said, opening his notebook one last time. Because tomorrow we start building the future, and we're going to need all the help we can get. He wrote a single sentence on the last page. Day 1 of the new galaxy begins now. Then he closed the book and smiled. The hard part was over. The impossible part was just beginning. But humans had always been good at doing impossible things. The silence in the room was broken by the sound of Kim's pen scratching across paper. He was making notes again, but this time the aliens understood that every word he wrote was important. "Status report, please," Admiral Choi said calmly. Captain Park touched her communication device. "Admiral Subin Yu reports that all Vorthak fleets are secured. They are trapped in gravity wells and cannot move. No casualties on either side. Scientist Dong Hyun-im reports that all Kalari mine ships are neutralized," Dr. Lee added. "Their crews are confused but unharmed. The neural dampening fields are working perfectly." Captain Jae Young. "O reports that all Tessian corporate fleets have been taken over by our computer systems," Officer Yoon said. "Their crews are locked out of their own ships, but life support is functioning normally." War Prime Thektar stared at them in disbelief. "You have disabled 3 entire galactic empires in less than 10 minutes? Actually, we disabled you 50 years ago," Kim replied. "You just didn't know it yet. Today we simply turned off the machines that were keeping you running." Trademaster Velnoth was frantically checking his devices. "Our entire economic network is down. Trillions of credits in transactions are frozen. How is this possible?" Engineer Kang smiled. "Remember all those wonderful trade deals you made with human companies? All that advanced technology you bought from us? All those computer systems you upgraded with our help?" She paused. "Every single piece of it had a backdoor. We've been inside your networks for decades. But we scanned everything," Velnoth protested. "Our security systems are the best in the galaxy." "Your security systems are very good at finding the kind of threats they were designed to find," Officer Yoon agreed. "But they weren't designed to find threats that looked like improvements. Every time you upgraded your systems with our technology, you gave us more access." Elder Zephyrim was struggling to understand. His mental powers had been the foundation of Kalari rule for thousands of years. "How did you block our mind control? No species has ever been immune to our abilities." Dr. Lee held up one of the metal headbands. "We're not immune. We're protected. These neural dampeners don't just block your telepathy. They also protect against mental domination, emotion manipulation, and memory alteration." "But how did you know to create them?" Zephyrim asked. "No species has ever understood our powers well enough to defend against them." "Because we've been studying you for 50 years, Dr. Lee said. "Every time you used your powers on other species, we were watching. We recorded everything. We analyzed every frequency, every brainwave pattern, every neural pathway you manipulated." Admiral Choi walked over to the window where human ships continued to appear from stealth. "You see, that's the difference between our species and yours. You use your advantages to dominate others. We use our advantages to understand others." Kim finished writing and looked up. "Let me explain what really happened here. 50 years ago, humanity made first contact with the galaxy. We were young, weak, and scared. We saw 3 massive empires that could crush us without effort. So we did what humans do best," Captain Park continued. "We adapted. We learned. We planned. And we prepared. We studied each of your species carefully," Dr. Lee said. "Vorthak culture worships strength and despises weakness. So we appeared weak while building strength in secret. Tessian culture values profit above all else," Officer Yoon added. "So we made sure every deal with you was profitable for you, while being even more profitable for us." "Kalari culture believes in the superiority of ancient wisdom," Kim said. "So we let you think we were too primitive to understand your advanced ways." Engineer Kang activated a new hologram. It showed a timeline stretching back 50 years. Year 1, we began placing human agents in your societies. Year 5, we started our economic infiltration. Year 10, we began technological sabotage. The timeline continued. Year 20, we achieved complete intelligence penetration. Year 30, we gained control of your key systems. Year 40, we began final preparations. And today, Admiral Choi said, "We revealed that the galaxy's 3 great powers have been puppets dancing to human music for decades." Thektar's warrior pride was wounded more than his military situation. "You fight without honor. You use tricks and deception instead of strength. We use intelligence instead of brutality," Kim replied. "Honor doesn't protect innocent species from genocide. Strength doesn't stop slavery. But planning, preparation, and patience can stop both. You were planning to murder billions of humans today," Captain Park said coldly. "You were going to enslave our children and destroy our worlds. And you talk to us about honor?" Velnoth was still trying to calculate their losses. Do you have any idea how much damage you've done to galactic commerce? The economic chaos will last for years. Good, Officer Yun said. Your economic system was built on exploitation and slavery. It needed to be destroyed. Don't worry, we have plans to replace it with something better. Something fairer, Engineer Kang added, where all species benefit, not just the powerful ones. Elder Zephyrim was beginning to understand the scope of what had happened. You didn't just plan to defeat us in battle. You planned to change the entire galaxy. Finally, you're starting to see the bigger picture, Kim said. This was never about humans versus aliens. This was about justice versus oppression, freedom versus slavery, the future versus the past. Admiral Choi activated another display. It showed ships from dozens of different species all bearing human escort flags. While you were focused on the three great powers, we were making friends with everyone else. All those primitive species you ignored, they've been working with us for decades. The Rishan mining colonies you forced into poverty, they've been supplying us with rare metals, Dr. Lee said. The Yeltari agricultural worlds you taxed into starvation, they've been feeding our secret fleets, Captain Park added. The Nexari artists you banned from the trade routes, they've been designing our stealth technology, Engineer Kang said. Impossible, Velnoth whispered. We controlled all the major trade routes. We monitored all communications. You controlled the routes you knew about, Officer Yoon corrected. But humans are very good at finding new paths. We've been building a secret network of independent trade routes for 40 years. Every species you oppressed became our ally, Kim explained. Every world you exploited became our supporter. Every person you enslaved became our friend. The aliens were starting to realize that their empires hadn't just been defeated militarily. They had been isolated politically, economically, and socially. What happens now? Thektar asked. Do you destroy us? Enslave us? Take revenge for what we plan to do? Kim closed his notebook and stood up. That depends entirely on you. We're offering you a choice that you never offered us. You can surrender your military forces and accept new galactic laws that protect all species equally, Admiral Choi said. Your people will be free, but you will never again be allowed to threaten others. You can join the new Galactic Council as junior members, with limited authority until you prove you can be trusted, Captain Park added. You can help us build a better galaxy where strength is used to protect the weak, not exploit them, Dr. Lee said. Or, Kim said quietly, you can refuse and spend the rest of your lives watching your empires crumble while the rest of the galaxy moves forward without you. The three alien leaders looked at each other. Their choices were simple: adapt or become extinct. How do we know you won't simply become the new oppressors? Zephyrim asked. Kim smiled. Because unlike you, we remember what it was like to be weak, and we never want any species to feel that way again. Besides, Engineer Kang added cheerfully, we're much too busy exploring the universe to waste time conquering it. There are so many new things to discover when you're not spending all your energy on war. So, Kim said, opening his notebook to a fresh page, shall we discuss the terms of your surrender? Or would you prefer to discuss the terms of your cooperation? The aliens realized they were being offered something they had never given anyone else, a second chance. We will listen, Thektar said slowly. We will consider your terms, Velnoth added. We will learn, Zephyrim admitted. Kim began writing again. Excellent. Let's start with the basics. First, no more genocide. Second, no more slavery. Third, no more mental domination. Are we all clear on these points? For the first time in galactic history, the three great powers nodded in agreement to terms they had not written themselves. The real peace talks were finally about to begin.